missed one. I mean,
after 3 quarters,
unimaginable. Certainly not Bobby Manning.
No.
Well, we'll get to
whoever could have seen this coming. What did I say? I'm going to gloat a little. What did I say when the Celtics were down 10? This game's over, and Toronto doesn't know it.
This game's over.
This game's over in the other direction.
Okay? Over this
People
afternoon.
don't know it yet, but the Celtics are going to win this game.
Everyone doesn't know it yet, but the game's already over.
No, I think what you said was this is going to be an awful loss for the Raptors.
Yeah,
it was, and honestly, I got the hard hat on for a reason. I put it on after Game 1 when the Celtics beat the Sixers because I knew the series was over, and I've got it on after Game 2, Celtics Raptors, because this series is completely over.
Yeah.
When the Celtics play the way they did for 3 quarters, and they played bad basketball, it showed me that they only need to play just good enough to beat this Raptors team, and they did. I mean, yeah, they needed 5 straight 3-pointers from an unconscious Marcus Smart in the fourth quarter. But the point is, when you're the Raptors and you're giving it everything you've got, and you only have an 8-point lead to show for it in the fourth, and then you blow it immediately, and then you lose this game, you're down 2-0. You gave it your best shot. The Celtics played like crap. You're done.
Yeah.
Celtics
this was a game the Celtics were like, go ahead and beat us, okay? And then it was going to be annoying because it would be a winnable game, but the Celtics basically go ahead and beat us today, and it still didn't happen. Josue?
Yeah, no, that's definitely what it was. And the Marcus Smart threes, like, let's give Toronto a little bit of credit. I mean, most teams.
No, I won't.
They were a better team for 3 quarters.
I have the power. I can press a button.
Mute his ass.
Hear me out. 16 points in 5 minutes, and you still didn't have a blowout? You still weren't up? What were they up by? 2 points? Toronto stayed in it, but this is the mistake that Toronto did, right? And this is what we talked about before the series even started. When it comes down to wire, if the game is tied or whether it's a 2-point game, whatever the scenario is going to be, who's going to get the ball? What's the end result? Fred VanVleet just chucks one up when you have a timeout to use?
Yeah, and let's talk about that. I mean,
you can give props to the Celtics, but the Celtics at the end of the day, I mean, they could have went the other way.
I didn't think that was a bad decision, but it exposes the flaw in Toronto that we're seeing, in that they don't have a half-court
that they're not as good at basketball as the Celtics. That flaw.
They want to be out on the run. They want to be moving, and I'll give them credit. They were able to get downhill. They were able to move the ball the way they wanted to in this game, and you guys are right. It's still not enough. 99 or 96 or 99 in the end, right?
Jimmy called it. 102 wins this, but that's exactly it.
And the Celtics even tried to hand it back to them like 3 different times in that final 2 minutes. I mean, the Celtics did everything they could to lose it.
They did. They did. So up 6 in that when they were in that 5-6-8 range, they had a couple of possessions where they could have put the thing away. Then you had fine. You want to call that on Tatum, I guess. He didn't need to do it.
Tech. It's today's NBA.
But that NBA tech. Look, I'm going to put that on Tatum. I hate that you can't call that. If you're going to call that a tech in the first quarter, it's a tech in the fourth. I'm not a fourth quarter rules guy. So Tatum's got to have enough maturity to not throw a fit when he clearly fouled the guy. It feels like a BS call, but honestly, have some discipline there.
They let Kemba get away.
He's got to chill. He's got to chill with the refs. He spends 8 seconds of every defensive possession looking at the ref and chirping. He's got to get rid of that, okay? Because it is what it is.
Refs are looking for it now. They're quick with it on him because he complains all the damn time. I was talking about this with a couple of buddies earlier today. Dan, my buddy Dan's watching. Shout out Dan. He said
doing it all
Tatum's
year
gonna
long.
stop. Tatum's going to stop that, and he got busted with it. Almost cost him big. That was a 5-point swing.
Well, and also it made the foul is fine, but then even that 1 point makes it from a 3-point to a 4-point to a 3-point game. So you're in all of a sudden, and again that changed the complexion of things. So that could have been bad. The Marcus Smart thing again, they couldn't catch a break there, but. And none of that stuff ended up mattering in the end. In Toronto, they're going to be talking about the no timeout thing, like Marshawn Lynch should have run the ball, because
what was going on?
It's like I hate that. I know, Bobby, you said it's fine, live by the sword.
I thought that was the right play.
There were transitions,
right way to go.
but at the end of the day,
you do that when you have
Fred VanVleet,
Leonard on your team, man. You don't do that with these guys.
Yes, exactly, Josue. Fred VanVleet, ice cold, shooting a rainbow 3 over the top of Jason Tatum, who has a 7-foot wingspan.
They didn't get the right play out of it, but it was the right idea.
But that's what happens when you don't call a timeout. You end up with whatever you get. Right. That's the whole point.
That probably would have been better than what they would have gotten the fourth half court the way it was going.
Maybe, and then
I
you
look
set it up for the Celtics to foul and change that too. And with 4 or 5 seconds left, Celtics foul there, it becomes a little free throw situation. So yeah.
Either way, we agree they blew it. This was brutal. This was a horrible collapse from Toronto. You look at OG fouling 2 3-point shooters down the stretch. Siakam stepping out of bounds, going under that Tatum 3-pointer on the screen. And then Lowry, a bad turnover late too that led to that breakout score for Kemba. They were a horrific mess in that fourth quarter. I thought they won the first 3 quarters, and then they played as bad as they possibly could have in the fourth. You know what? They gave Marcus Smart those shots, too. And that's what I said before the series. Those were going to be there for the taking for him. I thought he hit tougher ones than they would normally contest. He was a few steps behind the line on a lot of those.
Yep.
And, man, that was as good as a Marcus Smart game as we've seen. That might be the best one yet, and we've seen some good ones. He saved their ass today.
I mean,
he did.
And
it was so fast. That was the thing. It was a 9-point game, and they're like tie game. It was like that. Boom, 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 boom.
5. Who does that? Who does that? It's Marcus Smart.
Whenever Marcus Smart does this too, because we've seen this in the past, right? We've seen him do 3 in a row, 4 in a row, but I mean, we never see it coming though. Like he could go 0 for 10 and then make 5 in a row, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's just Marcus Smart doing what he usually does.
Yeah. Well, the amazing thing was he did exactly the same thing he did last game. Is the first shot 3-pointer, and he makes it. And you're like, oh, it's a Marcus game, and then he has 11.
He has 11 threes in 2 games.
But he did that, and then he kind of disappeared until the fourth, and then boom, it comes back. So I mean, that was incredible.
Kemba too. You know, we got to give Kemba a little credit because his fourth quarter was excellent, strong, finishing, still going to the basket. The step back again, pulling that out when we have concerns about his health, as we did early in this one, is very important.
Well, and Kemba, you know, he had a few games like this where he had nothing but a fourth quarter, and he didn't necessarily pour it on in the fourth quarter, but he showed up and they needed it. We were saying it in our chat leading up to it. It couldn't just be Tatum only game. You know, it could be Tatum kept you afloat through 3 quarters, but then you had to get something else. You needed other people to show up, and then boom, Marcus comes in, Kemba comes in. And again, I think this could have, if the Celtics didn't waste a few possessions, hit a couple of makeable shots, they could have blown this thing into a 12, 14-point game and walked away in that fourth quarter. That's the way it was trending. Celtics kind of let them, Celtics let them creep back in. They blew a couple of chances to stretch that lead to a point that Toronto was finished.
No question. And that's the formula that the Toronto Raptors, that's a formula for a win for the Toronto Raptors, because I'm telling you, you don't want to get into the end of the game late in the stretch where, you know, the Celtics, you know, having the momentum down the stretch. I just think they don't have those guys that are going to say, hey, give me the ball. I want to make the big shot. Where was Siakam asking for that ball? You know, he's watching Fred VanVleet. Well, again, this should have been a timeout. Huge mistake by Nick Nurse there.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like, do they have guys like Kemba and Tatum? No, they have other guys that can win games for you. But when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, they're going to beat you up in the second half like they did with the Celtics. But they need that steady 7-8 point lead down the stretch to close you out.
And you're looking at Anobi, you know, you're looking at guys that, like, it's great to get those
guys that can go off, right?
It's great to get those contributions, but they're not going to go off, and they're not going to be there when you need them. And you're right, in that close game, who's your guy there, you know?
Thought everybody collapsed on that team. Yeah, Lowry was okay late. Gasol fouls out. Ibaka doesn't step up.
Yeah.
But they didn't have anybody to step up. Yeah, it would have been VanVleet, and he couldn't get it done. Tatum jumps on him, and this is the thing about Tatum, too, and he was phenomenal in this game. I know everybody here want to talk about the offense, but defensively, he steps up.
You think that's all we can think of, Bobby? We can't see defense? You're the only one sophisticated enough to be able to see that he plays.
You got to talk about the things nobody's talking about, and nobody talks about Tatum's defense.
Everyone talks about Tatum's defense. You know what? The only thing people talk about more than Tatum's defense is people not talking about Tatum's defense. That's probably the number one topic.
Yeah, no, and that was, I mean, he ran right to VanVleet on that final possession. That was smart. He did a lot of good things in this one. Him and Tice combining on that block. I thought Jaylen Brown, too, defensively late. That huge stop on Siakam can't go unmentioned. And he didn't have the greatest game in the world, but that was a massive play.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Also, too, though, the rebounding and the bigs. I know we're going to have our Robert Williams segment, so we might as well just have it right now. Dude, the energy, are you kidding me? This guy comes in and all points aside, those 10 points in what, like 7 minutes? Just look at the energy, like the eye test. Like the team it's just different when he's out there. And you can see the Toronto Raptors look, I don't want to say they're
different, all right.
But they're a little like, wait, who is this guy?
Right, it's like an alien, you know, like I don't understand this guy, you know?
He struggled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we always think of the great things he does, and I heard Doris going crazy about him too. She loves him.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah, and she was basically saying like,
The Time Lord.
not the dog on Tice, but I like this guy better. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with that because Tice has been phenomenal. I don't think you take away from Tice by saying that Robert Williams has been great.
No, but the energy, there is something different there with the energy.
There's energy, but there's bad plays too. I'd say he's a slight even at this point because he had a turnover. He went flying on his back, almost knocked himself out of the game. And, I see him jogging back on defense too.
I wasn't super impressed tonight. You definitely get dazzled. You get dazzled by the line, the 5 of 5, and he makes that jumper too, and he's like athletic. But I thought he played a sloppy.
It was sloppy. It was
a sloppy game, which is par for the course. But you're right. He was Jimmy. You can't hear me?
No, I can now.
You can now. Okay, good. Sorry. But yeah, sorry, Jimmy. You were saying we're poking at Time Lord a little bit, but you can have your say here.
Yeah, no, I thought that in the first half in that first quarter, he was huge for them. They needed somebody aside from, Jaylen Brown was fine in the first half, but they needed somebody aside from Tatum to carry them. In that fourth quarter, it was Marcus Smart. So I know we're talking about Time Lord now, but we were all saying, somebody besides Tatum has to step up here in the fourth, and it was Smart. But prior to that, I thought, I thought Time Lord did his thing. And let's not make Time Lord into something that he isn't. I mean, he's a serviceable big off the bench, and I think that's what you're going to get out of him. When you expect him to be more than that, then you might find yourself a little bit disappointed. But he can still roll to the rim. He can still throw it down. He can still shot block president. He can still rebound. He's still slow on defense, and he still has plenty of work to do there. But I think that he gives you what you need in spurts, and that's pretty much.
He and Tice make a formidable duo, and they give you both give you a little different look out there.
But offensively, other than the rim running, you're basically looking at what here? I mean, he catches the ball top of the key, and he just turns around, and he can't wait to hand it off to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is a little limiting when he's out there for sure. But I mean, it's part of the Robert Williams experience. Yeah. That's not
right. Exactly. I don't want to forget the fact that the second unit, man, you need that kind of energy. In his mere presence, I just think, again, stat line aside, they need someone to come off the bench that could help sort of stop the bleeding, so to speak. And that's exactly what they needed in that first quarter. I'm not saying that Robert Williams, if it wasn't for him, that the Celtics don't win the game, but they would have been trailing by a lot more points heading into halftime or throughout that second quarter if it wasn't for him.
Wait, I don't think it's crazy to say it because honestly, you needed the flash from all the people when you got it because you didn't get a complete game from everybody, and that's why I think it was important here. You needed Time Lord in that first quarter into the second there to be who he was. You needed Marcus at the beginning of the fourth quarter. You needed the fractions of games that people played tonight because that's what put together the whole of what was a really incomplete performance. So I think Time Lord really kept them alive, and we were joking about it on the thread too. This is the Time Lord game. I'll say this about him: different if he didn't offer what he offered in that first half.
He scores quickly, and it's not the efficiency. He's 73% shooter, which is amazing. But if he's in there 10 minutes, he could put up 10 points in 10 minutes, which I find so incredible. The flurry at which he puts the points on the board. He's almost a bench scorer in a way, which you wouldn't think of him the way he plays, but he makes the most of those minutes in terms of scoring.
Right.
Took a little jumper too.
Yeah. That was unbelievable.
Top of the key. Everybody lost that was Twitter almost shut down Twitter.
Yeah, the shot clock was at 2. He had no choice.
I know, but still, he did it. So again,
we haven't to pass that thing off.
Yeah, I will say this: we haven't, unless I missed it. Did we mention Kemba at all? Because a little dicey there. 3.5 quarters. Yeah, very dicey play, but then turns into cardiac Kemba. That drive to the hoop, step back to freedom, Drano. It was a massive shot. It was one of the biggest shots of the game.
I mean, again, it's all a matter of you always talk about surviving that game. You had that crap Tatum game, in the first round, and they survived it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you survived the crap Kemba game. Jimmy, it's what we've been talking about this whole time. The Celtics can play, it seems, an average game against Toronto and win. And Toronto has to play a really, really, really clean game. And we haven't seen it yet, but it also could be very much because the Celtics aren't going to allow it. Again, the matchups right now just look like the Celtics can slog their way through a game have Marcus Smart in 2 minutes erases everything you did bad in 3 quarters, and then they just win. And that's basically what happened, you know? It was just
not game plan for that. Like,
they showed up for 3 quarters, didn't do a ton, and then Marcus was like, bing, bing, bing. All right, we're tied. Let's play now. And then they just they started running with it. So,
and if Marcus Smart doesn't do that and the Celtics lose, I'm pretty much just saying the same thing. I'm saying the Celtics play like absolute crap tonight.
Yeah.
And they barely lost. And, if they can just play okay basketball, they should be fine for this series. I want to talk to that fraud Bobby Manning. Is he going to change his series prediction yet after this game?
Bobby's one of the smart analyst type guys who's going to keep telling us Toronto's good all the way to this. After the Celtics win 4-0, we're still going to be hearing about how Toronto's really good at what, Bobby?
I thought they should have won.
I thought they played a game that they could have won here, and the brutal collapse is what. It makes me definitely turn my head a bit. Yeah. Listen, this team's half-court offense has been despicable, and they got a few good things rolling with Gasol here. They've eaten up Van Fleet, and you see his size is an issue. They're throwing bigger guys at him, and he can't get anything to go from three-point range, 3 of 12. And then you take those 2 guys out, and all you really have left are those Pascal post-ups, which are good, but unless you get an and 1 there, you're not getting a ton of points out of those OG cuts. He played about as good as he could here. Yep. And you know what? I'll say this. We overrated their bench. Or I did. Everybody did, talking about the 100 points and stuff. Serge Ibaka's been good. Powell's been bad.
Serge Ibaka's been
Terrence Davis has been a no-show. Yeah, they get nothing off their bench.
We all overrated it. And I think, we didn't overrate Toronto, but again, we the whole time we justifiably gave them their proper due because against everybody but the Celtics, they've been unreal. But there's something here that, again, whatever it is, you know
what it is?
You never watched them play anybody else. You would think this was a very ordinary team.
You know what? You know what it is, honestly? They're probably miles better defensively than a lot of other teams they run into, and defensively the Celtics are right there with them, and they can just bash heads with them, and they have the offensive makeup to make up for that, and Toronto doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. I think Nick Nurse is being out-coached. Mr. Coach of the Year. Nick Nurse needed a medic on that last play there. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
He leaves it up to Fred Van Feet. Fred Van Feet. He's got feet for hands. The guy forgot how to shoot.
He was like their best player today, man.
He still ended up like 6 for 18 or something. Did you ever think that Fred Van Fleet was going to hit a shot today? Because every time I went in, I was surprised. He stunk in game 1. He wasn't dependable here in game 2. Yeah, he had a couple big shots, but overall, I can't imagine if you're the coach of the year, I still don't understand why you'd want that rush play. I just don't.
No, I still say the biggest mistake he made was down the stretch. Like, why do you not call a timeout? Like, you don't have Miller out there to close out the game. You have to design a play for these guys, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like to leave a timeout on the board in general. If you take it earlier and then you leave it there, it's one thing. I didn't hate the move, but I guess you can't argue against the result.
Celtics have a little bit of a...
Would all you guys be shocked if the Raptors tied this series in the next 2 games? All right.
Yes.
I know where I stand on it. I almost don't even need to do these shows anymore. I could just play a recording.
What did you say today, John? Oh, yeah, Celtics are
great. You guys know me. Jimmy knows me better than anybody. I'm the least homer you're going to find.
Yeah.
I'll never trumpet.
Call it how it is.
I'm not one of the Jay Crowder All-Stars, okay?
That's me.
That's not me, okay? It's not me. If I see it,
Al Horford in the back.
If I see it, I'm like, this is a dead-ass team. And if that's what I thought, but I'm looking at this and I don't see it. I don't see it.
And that's what we said last year about last year's Celtics team. We said this team is a dead man walking. These guys have no life to them. They're just sort of sludging through here, and they're just eventually going to lose. And that's exactly what happened. We knew it. And this Celtics team, they're playing, Bobby, this isn't going to show up in your number crunching, but the Celtics are playing with a little bit of a playoff swagger. They get some confidence going right now.
They do, especially Tatum.
The Raptors look flat. The Raptors are flat. The Raptors look like a team that's just tired, Yeah,
I've had to think about it for a few minutes, but you got me. I don't know where Toronto goes. Their transition game's dead. They don't have a front man. They don't have anywhere to go. I heard Zach Lowe talking about putting Gasol and Smart. That would have been a disaster today. And Gasol just follows out of this.
Yeah, Gasol's ready to go.
They got nowhere to hide as a team. I still think they could play a bit more Ibaka because Ibaka's been phenomenal. 7-12 in this one, drilling shots in the last one. They got to go small, run their ass off, and just play small with the Celtics out there. They can't play any more Gasol. That's the only hope left.
That's what we thought they were going to do this game. And I get, Gasol,
they're slow.
Yeah.
They're slow to adjust. They want to stay. And I heard Nick Nurse talking on Tuesday or Monday, whatever it was, on the off day. And he's saying, we're going to keep posting up Siakam. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing that. There wasn't a big – I and others thought he was going to have a, forecast of adjustment mind going into this one, and he didn't change all that much. He really didn't.
Well, you saw a lot of that in the first quarter, Bobby, though. Remember? Siakam had it going a bit. He had a little bit of a rhythm. It seemed like him and Jalen were going back and forth, and it looked like both coaches liked that matchup. And you saw Jalen getting into it as well. But then Toronto just do what they usually do. They get everyone involved, and that's just sort of been – what has made them successful all year long. So it's tough for Siakam, or at least for the Raptors, to pick their spots and say, okay, Siakam, here, give us 12 in this first quarter, or whatever the case may be.
17 from Siakam. I mean, he's not impressing me at all. I mean, 6 of 16
in 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he took 16 shots. I mean, that's got to go up. Maybe not by a whole lot, but somewhere around 19 or 20. That's always been my thing with him. And I thought that we were going to see the Siakam game today. We could see it in game 3, though.
I mean, the Raptors, listen, Nurse knew how important this game was. He had 3 of his guys go over 40. Pretty much had almost 5 guys go 40 minutes. I mean, they knew this was a must-win game, and they did everything they could. At the end of the day, it wasn't enough. And they're honestly not even real knock to them. I mean, I gave the Raptors all the respect in the world going into this series. It just feels like the Celtics are a better team, and they have more talent. Deeper from 1 to 5, and by that I mean starting lineup. Right. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your bench is when the starters are doing what they're doing.
All right, do we just go ahead? Should we just skip the rest of this and do a Heat preview?
No, not yet.
I can't listen. I hope that's
those would be my ultimate troll jobs at NBC, Jimmy. When the Patriots would start the playoffs, we would immediately do a Super Bowl preview in the first round.
Yeah.
We would skip all 3 opponents. We did it one time wholeheartedly, and we did a Pats Seahawks preview because you knew that they were going to skip all the way through. The Celtics' path isn't certain, but at this point, I mean, I don't have any clue what Toronto does coming back. Like, Bobby, you're the professor. I mean, if it's a chess move sort of game, I don't know what moves they have. And really this came down to it. Celtics shot great in the game 1. You knew if they didn't have as good a shoot, but they shot horribly. They were 30-something% through 3 quarters, and Toronto was shooting better. So, I mean, are we really looking at a Toronto has to shoot 55% from the floor and the Celtics have to be ice cold, and that's the only way they win a game? I'm trying to figure what else.
No, it's not cold shooting, and we came out of game 1 saying, oh, it's a hot game for Boston. It's a bad game for Toronto. But this is who Boston is as a defense. They cut off your 3-point shooting, and it's been ultra low for Toronto so far, but I think it's indicative of how the Celtics are cutting off that line. You even see on that last Van Fleet play, he's always 3-4 steps behind the line, and he can't drill from there. He's got to be right on that 3-point line. The only one I can think of is that Ibaka one. Like, that's it, and it's not one that's going to flip a game.
That seemed obvious heading into this game, and I'm very surprised that it didn't happen.
And you drop this one, and all of a sudden they're in a much tougher spot to win the series from. The Celtics didn't play great today at all, and I think we have to highlight that more. Yeah, they played horrific outside of Tatum, Smart, and a late burst from Walker. They come out of this one with a few bumps and bruises, so maybe that's something that Toronto can continue to chip away at if Kemba keeps struggling. But they got everything to go their way today, including the calls. That was a huge break on the Smart out-of-bounds play late. I didn't like the reversal on the Smart foul that gave Toronto an extra point. And overall, I thought the second half, they got a good amount of free throws
after the 0 in
the first half.
Smart one, even though I think it was the red call.
Yeah, see, that's what drove me insane about what Jason
I don't like the replays. I don't.
Complaining about calls, and it's like, you went to the free throw line 14 times. Yeah. This is the night you should just give it a rest and maybe play the next game.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The first half was,
he did it. He also played a ton. We talked about, one of the reasons I think they can withstand Hayward is because it's not the minutes and the shots aren't going to Ogilvy or Langford. They're just being distributed between Smart, Hayward, and Brown, and so are the minutes, so to speak. I mean, Hayward, 42 minutes tonight. That's a ton. You know, he was in that second half. I felt like the whole time. So I'm wondering how long. Tatum. Yeah.
Yep, Tatum set up smart on quite a few of those threes to start the fourth quarter. He's rotating in with the bench. Semi, Grant, Wanamaker, all bad in this game. Garbage from them.
I don't even remember Wanamaker doing a thing.
And you know why?
No.
Why? Because Tatum's in there with them and just does everything.
Yeah.
So, like, the bench rotations don't even matter. Right? So that's such a great point, John. Like, they just rotate Tatum in all games. So the
he
rotation
played the whole time. And you're right. When he was out with that lineup, it was just the Tatum show. But you're right. Wanamaker didn't have a field goal attempt. Okay. Grant Williams had 2. Semi had 3. And Rob Williams had 5 all in the first quarter. The second half was all starters, pretty much.
So this is Stevens tightening it up like we want to see.
Yes. And
But
you
this
had
is
to in
also-
this game because you couldn't play around with it. I was even saying, like, there's a lot of Grant Williams minutes here, but you had to do something because you're right. There wasn't a lot being given out there. I'm going to look the minutes across the board: 42, 38 for Kemba, 39 for Smart, 36 for Jalen. I mean, they went wire to wire for this one pretty much.
The only reason Grant got so much.
You know?
Yeah.
I
Grant
thought
only got so much because of the fouls.
Yep.
Grant did not. I wasn't impressed with Grant, at least on the defensive end. But I'm not going to harp on him today. But listen, the Celtics, they can afford to go deep minutes wise with these guys like Tatum and Brown and Smart because they're not the old big three that the Celtics fans are used to when Doc Rivers had to manage minutes from 35-year-olds. You know, these guys are 22, 21, 23. They can go 40 and they can be fine. So put them the hell out there and let them do their thing. I'm totally fine with them playing at 40. It's, you know, that's
you don't want to do it.
They should be doing that.
You don't want to do it that's the thing is you
No,
want to have.
but John, you had to do it tonight.
Yeah.
You had to do it tonight.
And they did.
Game one, you didn't have to.
Ideally, yeah.
When Hayward went down, I was like, this isn't going to affect the Celtics in this series. This is for the next series because you're going to have to ask these starters to start adding up more of their minutes, 38, 36, 37, 40 plus.
Right.
That's going to be the norm in this series because you need those guys to bridge the gap between the second unit and the first. You need Tatum to mix it in with those guys in that second unit. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And again, to Jimmy's point, these guys are young enough, and also they're experienced enough.
Right.
They know what happened last year. They know that winning the first game doesn't mean anything because they lost 4 in a row against the Bucks. They know that they were a quarter away from the NBA Finals.
They bucked the trend, 5-0 to 6-0.
6-0.
It goes along.
Now we don't have to hear about that anymore.
Right.
All that experience.
What's amazing, again, it's 6-0 with probably 3 crap games, maybe, 3.5. It's,
Well, this is the difference between last year and this year. I just said I hate that, but I'm going to do it. Right. Defense. The defense sucked last year.
Yeah.
This year, it's phenomenal, and that's what
That'll
Stevens
bail
was
you
talking
out.
about.
When
Yeah,
you're
it'll
shooting like
always
shit.
help you grind out a game.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
they're always great defensively, no matter who's in there. I talk about the 3 crap bench players. They at least give you good defense.
Right.
All 3 of them. So no matter who they have out there, there's always – and that's why, like, this Gasol, Smart – the Celtics don't have any matchup issues. They try to go at Kemba in this one. It worked a few times, but it's not a game plan worthy matchup. Like, it's not Isaiah. We've been saying that.
I mean, when you can comfortably put your 6'4" guard on their 6'9" best player and call that a matchup that you think you're okay with, obviously you're not super worried about matchups there, and that's where they are right now. It's that they're
chess pieces.
This was a classic, right? Tatum and defense sort of game gets you through when everything else isn't going well. Let's switch gears a little bit because we did mention Hayward. We got a less than encouraging update from Brad talking about him earlier this week, saying his gait is, I think he said gait is still off. It's been a couple of weeks. Talking to everybody. We talked to Dr. Jess Flynn as well about it. I think the 4 weeks was optimistic. I knew it. And certainly for a grade 3 ankle sprain, it's probably on the very early side. I think we're looking at 6 weeks or not at all for Hayward. And I think people just have to start accepting that reality that white knight's not walking through the door for the conference finals or final. I don't know that it happens at all at this point.
Well, there's Downer John. He's back, everybody.
That's what
I mean, let's be real.
Finals, realistically.
No, I mean,
why rush him? Why rush him into it?
It's not rushing. You've really got. It's like can you meet us at least, late in the first round, late in the conference finals if they get there? And I don't think that's going to happen either.
Yeah, I just
Well, he's coming back, isn't he?
what it
That's
is,
probably
man.
a little optimistic.
He's coming to the bubble, but the general vibe was he's not a guy who's working his way back into getting on the court right now. He's still in the extremely early stages
I see what you're saying.
of his development. He's still not walking right. There's no way a guy who isn't walking correctly is going to play playoff.
Is that what gate is? Is that Josue did the Google?
Yeah, I had to Google that. Was that the only one? I'd never heard the word gate before.
Right. Well, you talk about
GAIT gate.
All right. So that's definitely a negative
I still don't
development.
know, and I didn't Google it.
Yeah,
He
literally can't go to the refrigerator right now without limping. Okay, he's not playing playoff basketball.
Oh, and it looked bad. It did
Okay.
when he walked off the court. It looked
He was
very
like,
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
It's a shame.
And don't forget too, when he is, cleared for practice or cleared for contact, it's not like he's going to go in there and play 25, 30 minutes right off the bat. They're going to work him in slowly. He's going to play 8 minutes or 12 minutes, and he may even throw the team off. So listen,
by then you're at such a
out of
consequential stage.
sight, out of mind right now. Let's just let Gordon Hayward do Gordon Hayward's thing, and if he's back, great. If you're the Celtics, you're going to war with who you have on the team right now. They've shown so far that they haven't needed Gordon Hayward, right, so far. So just keep it that way. Listen, we talk about whoever they play next. Let's assume that they do advance, and I don't want to jinx anything. If they do advance, it's the Bucks or the Heat. You can't
Have
tell
some
me that.
fact, Jimmy. Just say that they're going to advance.
They're gonna.
You need to do it.
You can't tell me that this Celtics roster without Gordon Hayward isn't good enough to beat the Heat. I know the Heat are tough, but they can still go head to head.
Oh, come on. You're going to not call this series over, but you're saying the Heat are moving on?
No. I'm just saying. I think the Bucks might be more difficult.
They might be.
But I think the Heat can beat the Bucks. So
They can. I think that series is almost certainly going the distance, and I was obviously wrong about this one. Miami came out and took a statement in that game.
Predictions, Bobby.
Yeah.
I think the tougher matchup for the Celtics.
I would fade everyone.
It's our
Listen.
resident Barkley here.
Who said sweep in round one? 4-0. I got that one, so
congrats.
I'll be 1-1.
Yeah, you will be 1-1.
Yeah.
You definitely got this one wrong.
What else we got? What else we got for this one? We got a lot of people in the room, so let's keep going. What else you guys like?
I mean, what are some people chiming in with some comments?
They are, but it's a lot
sounds
of
like
stuff.
Nick Nurse is complaining about something. Is that true?
Is he?
I don't know. A missed call. I saw somebody shoot up the message on YouTube.
I don't know. Let's check it
I
out.
think- do you guys think that the Miami Heat are a tougher opponent? I feel like they are compared to the Bucks. I don't know. I just don't
No.
believe in the Bucks anymore. Like,
You
who's
don't
helping
believe
these
it?
guys out?
They went down 1-0.
Yeah,
Come on.
Before that, I didn't like their chances against this team. It's just too
Here's
many.
the thing.
Like who?
Same things I said about the Raptors, I say about the Heat. They're a tough team. They're deep. They're big. They're strong. But then the Celtics go in and dismantle the Raptors in the first 2 games. So now I'm not so sure. I would love to see Celtics Heat because I think Jimmy Butler is just like a fun guy to play against, and I think a lot of like Celtics fans and I think there'd be a lot of
Smart would
animosity
cause a
there.
supernova.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a lot of fun. And the Bucks, man, they're good, but they just bore me. I don't want to watch. I don't want to.
Wait, isn't that what Josue said?
Yeah,
No,
man,
Jimmy and I are.
with the Raptors.
No, he said the Raptors bored him.
Jimmy
All
and I
right.
are-
So the
Jimmy
two
and I are not
top
Giannis fans.
seeds in the East.
Yeah, Giannis is I always fall asleep when he's playing. Yeah, that's
I'm
a
not a
great
Giannis
take,
fan.
Jimmy.
I think he's boring.
Yeah, I don't like
The
it
East
either.
is boring.
Yeah, you
Force
said
it.
that before, though. That's true. I
Guys, take
strongly disagree.
Take a
He's
pause
good.
here. I'm gonna play the Nick Nurse comment. Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, I just see him as unfortunate, Doug, to be honest with you. I mean, I think Smart fouled the shit out of him on the one. So there's one for you. And then
Anyone hear that? Did you hear it?
Yeah,
I couldn't.
He
I
said
think it was
couldn't-
a foul. Foul.
He said Smart fouled Jimmy. I know you couldn't hear it. He said Smart. I think Smart's fouled the shit out of him. Talking about Siakam drive in the fourth. So he's complaining about the officiating. Yeah.
You know what? That's
I mean, they got the out of bounds call.
That's the mark of a losing team that's in panic mode. Starting to reach, look for excuses.
There's a little more.
Not the reason.
I'm gonna find you.
Right.
I'm gonna find you another one. Yeah.
Shout out to Fred Hoiberg, for real.
Yeah. He's
I like that.
definitely he's the coach of the year. Doesn't like being out coached, I guess. I got another one. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna bring you another soundbite too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know if we're.
So that's the play where he was going out of bounds, and they did the whole replay on the out of bounds call, right?
Yeah,
Bobby,
he thought he
Bobby,
thought
here's
he
the thing
fouled
to
the
worry
shit
about
out.
the Bucks. Chris Middleton goes off, and they still lost. Like, that's been the biggest question, if he can be consistent in the playoffs. It gives you a huge game, and you couldn't get a win out of that?
Yeah.
I don't know about the Bucks,
Well,
man. I don't know.
Here's some more Nick Nurse, okay?
The only frustrating part about it is he shoots 14 free throws, which is as much as our whole team shoots. That's the frustrating part. I mean, I think our guys were working hard on him, and we were doing a pretty good job. He did make some good shots. They were obviously getting him the ball a lot, getting him in space. We could have helped a little bit better here and there, but they take very good care of him tonight.
That's talking about Jason Tatum. They took good care of Jason Tatum. He shot 14 free throws. Nick Nurse is upset.
Wow.
Have you ever heard Stevens do that?
Wow.
That's
Nick
like
Nurse
the friggin'
is
for the third time.
Damn,
He's never got that.
stuff. Are you kidding me? Look, and again, trying to look at this in a totally non-homery way. Yeah, Tatum gets calls. Tatum also not gets calls. He went to the hole. He got hit a bunch. I don't know. I mean, that didn't stand out to me as like a, wow, Tatum got all the calls sort of thing. I just felt like that's what was happening. But I don't know. I mean, I guess Celtics have been on the losing end of a lot of free throw battles. In the past, not this team, but a lot of Celtics teams because of the style of play. Teams that only shot from the perimeter and this and that. But you attack the basket, you're going to get fouls called. And I mean, Tatum was very aggressive tonight, and most of that stuff was right around the basket.
Nick Nurse should watch the film because his team wasn't even nearly close to the aggressiveness that they needed to have in the first half when they took 0 free throws, not because they never got fouled, because they weren't aggressive. They weren't going to the rim. They weren't doing what they needed to do to get to the line. So don't go crying about calls on the other end when you guys could get the same calls if you actually did the freaking homework and drop to the rim.
I love it. I drink this guy's tears right now. This is terrific. I want more of it.
This is
brutal.
Classic panic mode. This is classic what you do. You start playing the blame game. You know, it's everyone's fault but your own team. You know what? Brad Stevens, he doesn't have post-game comments like that, really. I mean, that I can remember, where he's going after the refs or he's taking slights at other teams' players.
Nick Nurse is in a dark place right now, okay?
Am I wrong? They got a good whistle in this one.
Nick Nurse has left the bubble. We're going to get
Nick Nurse is in a really – I think the lasting image is going to be from first quarter of game one.
Nick Nurse.
Oh, yeah, the classic.
Oh, boy, yeah.
All right, I'll say this, Joe Sway.
Wait. Oh, fuck.
Maybe Nick Nurse was complaining to the refs on the final play of the game where he forgot to call a timeout and drop a play for his own team to potentially tie the game. I mean, clearly this guy's heading back in Toronto.
Let me bring it back to the Bucks because we're laughing at Nick Nurse today. If we see the Bucks in the East Finals, we'll be doing the Nick Nurse on at least one of those shows.
I mean, Giannis will get about 20, 24 free throws a night. That's true.
Look, that's the thing. And again, that's why it's like, right, with both Giannis and then Harden, but specifically Giannis, it's almost impossible not to foul him,
Right.
Because I mean, that's why I think Jimmy and I are on the same page with this Giannis thing. It's not that he's not amazing. He's amazing, but it's just he can simply Euro step around you when you have position and force you to make contact with him in a way that you're going to draw the foul. He's just too long. He starts to move and you can't stay in front of him because he can step around anybody. And so he's going to get contact every time he goes to the basket. It feels boring because the outcome is already
Exactly. It's boring.
It's boring because you're like,
not how
it really feels like a dad playing with little kids.
Was Shaq boring?
I don't think LeBron was boring. Take away the
LeBron-
jump shot.
LeBron didn't feel the same. Jimmy, back me
No, I
up.
was gonna say it's just not the way basketball was intended to be played. It's not really a knock on Giannis. That's just he's the Greek freak for a reason, right? But listen, people love Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those guys because that's how basketball was like
Stylish.
invented to be. Exactly.
It's finesse over power. It's
I'll rather
LeBron
just
versus
take
Michael.
take 20
It's the same thing.
Like,
They're both entertaining.
Yeah. Well, maybe again, it's subjective, but like Kobe was artistic, and like
Right.
there was so much degree of difficulty to what he did. Where
Shaq's the guy.
Giannis looks like a
Shaq.
bully. But it's not that. It's almost like watching baseball and watching a guy who's got a 150-mile-an-hour fastball. He's going to strike everybody out, and it's going to be boring as shit. It doesn't mean he's not amazing, and like it's amazing that he throws 150 miles an hour. It's just boring. And that's what Jimmy and I are kind of like with Giannis. Is like, yeah, he's going to just walk to the basket and score. You know,
no, I got you. I just like to see the Celtics take down, like the whole David and Goliath situation. Like that was who LeBron was for so many years, right, for the Celtics. And then now it's Giannis. And then, I mean, yeah, it was only one playoff series last year, but it feels like there's always that guy in the Celtics' way. And I would love to see the Celtics take that guy out on the I
would have still done. I stand by the Olynyk pick, though.
Olynyk over Giannis?
Trade up.
Fair.
Pass Giannis. Trade up for him. Draft Olynyk. You got your guy. You got
it. I need to drop 30 in one of these games just to say, hey I was working.
We're getting Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook as a test in the first round out west. We're getting the Olynyk Giannis series right now to decide that.
Yeah, if Olynyk does anything, it's going to be cripple Giannis in this series. That's
Don't sleep on a Celtics Heat like budding rivalry if the two get to that in the Eastern Conference, because those are two teams that are kind of lined up for success here. And I'm telling you, Jimmy Butler's like he's one of those players that can really get under your skin, and I think a lot of fans would like. He's kind of like Dwayne Wade. I'll make the comparison because they're both Heat players. Where like a lot of Celtics fans could not stand Dwayne Wade. He was sneaky, dirty. He was so good. He'd kill you.
I like that comparison
ways out there. And Jimmy Butler's kind of that similar player. He's kind of like a hard ass, tough guy, get up in your face, and I think that would be a fun series. And the Bucks just put me to sleep. They just put me to sleep. I'll say it. I don't.
Miami's depth is the real deal. I don't know about Milwaukee's. All the numbers say they're great. Their bench is phenomenal when they're off the court. It's a Toronto-like thing. I look at those guys and I say Eric Bledsoe, who's actually hurt right now.
Yeah,
George Hill's phenomenal. He's killed the Celtics in the past. And then you got like a Marvin Williams.
Middleton shoots 87% against the Celtics.
Right.
I was watching that game yesterday. I don't even think he hit the rim. Everything was just splash.
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like
so underrated.
It looked like he couldn't miss if he took 1,000 shots yesterday.
Yeah, but Miami also Celtics up by touch. I mean, that can really, really crush the Celtics. Obviously their fast break play as well. The Celtics, they're good in guarding and defending in transition. But once the 3-pointers start flying, that's when the floor really opens up. And you look at Duncan Robinson. I mean, man, these guys can shoot. Jay Crowder's another one. Olynyk can get going, of course.
They're phenomenal.
That can shoot threes, but also someone like Duncan Robinson, if he gets going, he can send you home almost as good as Marcus Smart did tonight, right?
Almost.
Well, I guess we're previewing the next series.
Look what you did. That's not what I wanted to do.
I'm keeping this going. There's a lot of people watching right now, so I kind of like it. But
what do we got for numbers?
There's 650 right now live.
What up, team?
Just on YouTube. That's not counting Twitter and all the other spots. So there's people out there. I just don't know what else.
A lot of people are just hyped up after a game. I think there's a lot of Celtics fans who maybe have thought the Celtics were this good, but they're Celtics fans, and maybe a lot of the experts who had the Raptors in this series.
Well, let me ask you guys this: what do we say if Toronto wins this tonight? They just scrap it out by a hair, by 1 point.
You mean
I already told you what I would say. I would say the Celtics played like crap and still could have won this game, and I still like them in the series. And they almost tried to give the Raptors the game tonight, and the Raptors didn't take it. To me, the Raptors are done. This is how I felt after Game 1, Celtics Sixers. I had the hard hat on for a reason. This is my hard hat. This is my series over the hard hat. I only wear it when the Celtics are going to win the series, and I put it on tonight because I saw enough.
I think you're right.
I saw enough.
I think you're right. I think you're right that the series is over. I don't think the series is done being close. I said when Game 1 was done, that was the last blood of the series. Yeah. The Celtics are going to have to earn 2 more wins, and this will definitely still go 6, I believe, at least.
Wait, you backing up?
I'm not sweet.
You're backing up?
How about this? Your next appearance on the show could be Game 6, okay?
Yeah.
I promise.
I'm just saying, how easily could Toronto have won this? And we're talking about 1-1.
Okay.
Easily. That's the whole point. It wasn't easy for them. They scrapped and they clawed their way to a loss. They did everything they could to win this game, and they still lost. That's what I get out of this game. Is the Celtics played like dog shit. Kemba Walker was horrific for 3.5 quarters. Jason Tatum did everything, and then Marcus Smart was unconscious for about 5 minutes. That's why the Celtics won this game.
Yeah.
That's
Jimmy,
all they had to do.
I think this is about your hat.
Smart might be able to keep it going too.
I am a stripper too. If you stick around long enough, you might get lucky.
Everything is tearaway for Jimmy right now.
All right, I'm gonna head up.
It's all tearaway.
Yeah, very easily.
Tweet it out. 800 for Jimmy.
Hey, I might have a couple in me on Thursday night if the Celtics win that one. Stick around. We'll see what I might start the show shirtless.
I expect you coming here with a couple in you each time. That's prescribed.
All right,
Jimmy,
let's do it.
A couple will have to go down the hatch late because it's going to go right down the wire again.
We're out of gas. We're talking about Jimmy's
praying.
pants.
Bobby's praying for a Raptors win. I want everyone to know that. Bobby is praying for a Raptors win.
We're talking about Jimmy's style.
You know what they're gonna do to Toronto if they lose in 4 or 5 here? They're gonna go, oh, they were frauds. Oh, they were.
Nothing. They'll literally do nothing because basketball barely exists up there, and they're just going to go talk about.
No. Definitely not the Toronto people, but around the country, they've been waiting to call this team frauds. And you know what? For 2 games, they're right. We'll see what happens in Game 3.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Wait, real quick, while we got people, we got Denver, Utah tonight, Game 7. I mean, what's your prediction, Bob, Mr. Basketball Brain?
Utah's done. Utah's
on my
done.
television.
Agreed.
Utah's done.
Jamal Murray's a
After
bad
what you-
man.
You think so?
Man,
It's hard not to root for him.
Gobert can't pick up that screen and step back.
Don't
He's been
sleep on
exposed.
Mitchell, though.
I don't
Mitchell's
know.
been great.
I can't not root for Murray right now. Whether or not I think they're going to win, I want to see it. It feels like there's something special going on there. I know Mitchell's been out of his mind too. Gobert can, whatever.
Gobert's been awful. He's a big reason they're losing this series right now.
he's not going to be on that team next year.
And everything like that, it drives me crazy. I've never been a Gobert guy.
Daniel Tice, better
You don't
block
like
percentage
Gobert.
this year.
You don't like big men who get overrated for their defense.
Yeah, and I think Gobert could be as much a liability. It doesn't matter, but we'll see what happens in that game. But the 3 of us will be back for Game 3. We'll see Bobby for Game 6, and we'll see what happens. What time? What do we have for the next game start time?
I don't know if they've announced it yet.
6:30.
No, it's 6:30.
6:30.
6:30?
6:30 on Thursday?
They haven't announced game 4 yet.
Closing thoughts?
If there will be a Game 4.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This is 3, right?
Celtics in 3 was my prediction. All right.
Nick Nurse has left the bubble after Game 3. He will not be coaching Game 4.
He's just going to walk home like this. The whole way home.
Poor Nick Nurse, man. Poor Nick Nurse. He's still crying in his cereal.
I'll tell you, if this goes to 3-0, I might need a night off. I don't think I'm ready for that.
Oh yeah, you'll take the.
Like I
game
said,
off.
if it goes to 3-0, we'll just press
Replay.
play on the back half of this show.
No, let's start the 4th quarter. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We got to do
All
it
right.
one of these games.
I think we're out of gas. So for everybody,
Closing thoughts.
I mean, we've kind of said them all, but I mean, all right.
One more.
Go ahead.
Anything else going on under the helmet?
Yeah, what else you got?
My closing thought is just rest in peace, Raptors. That's my closing thought. Thanks, Faye.
Man.
They did the listen. It's hard to defend the title. It's hard to defend the title no matter what. It's even harder to do it in the middle of a pandemic. So good on them for trying, but they're out.
All right, Bobby, closing thought.
Would the Raptors have done it without the bubble? I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. I said it all show. They spared almost all the adjustments you could think of in this one. Getting out harder, getting it to the corners, getting it to Gasol on the roll, using Siakam more on Kemba. They did it all. It still didn't go well for them. And their closing effort was a disaster, and I don't know how that's going to get any better.
Yeah. This way?
The Siakam game. Does it translate a win? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm predicting, 25, 26 out of Siakam. I just think that's the next option for these guys. And then you go from there. Get him going. You want some more of that Fred VanVleet you saw, in the first quarter.
Fred VanVleet.
The best you can to maximize that. And, of course, what we saw in the second unit, OG.
Nick Nurse wants free throws.
Not in the second unit, but OG helping that second unit out.
Yeah.
I think you'll see. You might see another nail biter in Game 3, though. I think.
Yeah, for me, it's don't get cocky. No, meaning
cocky.
we can get cocky, but I'm saying don't
Sure.
they've played through stretches of this game like they kind of figured I could play. I could play like shit and we'll make up for it. You don't want to go through another game of it because you're just inviting the possibility of losing. I think it's a foot on the gas sort of scenario.
Sure.
This is a finish him sort of moment, which is don't let him up. If you're going to play one great game, I mean, you already played a great one in game one. Make game three your best game of the series, and that's it. Come out like you're like it's game seven. And if they do that again, I don't see it. But again, this is it. Toronto's last stand, so we'll see what happens. All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. There's a lot of action in here. We like it. We'll be back for game three. I think the whole cast. Maybe we'll add some more. Josue Pavone from Heavy.com, Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, Celtics blog, CLNS Media. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.